So it's 1300 GMT, and we begin this hour with breaking news from northern Pakistan, where army commandos and helicopters are trying to rescue 8 people trapped in a cable car 300 meters above ground. 6 children and 2 adults have been left dangling for hours after one of the cables snapped. Now, this happened when they were above a remote mountain valley in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Pakistan's National Disaster Management Agency is coordinating the rescue effort. Kamal Haider joins us from Islamabad. What can you tell us about what's happening and what's being done right now, Kamal?
Well, right now, helicopters of the Army Aviation are trying to sling those rescuers as close as possible to that cable car, which is now at an angle because of the 2 cables that have snapped, not snapped, but have basically broken off, particularly possibly from the pulleys, which are supposed to pull that carriage. Now, it is important also to note that it is windy conditions. The helicopters need to be stable in order to be able to winch those people down for the rescue effort. However, they are being hampered by high winds and the fact that there is another cable which is about 30 feet above the helicopter, which prevents, above that carriage, sorry, which prevents the helicopter from coming lower in order to be able to do a more accurate operation. So indeed, a delicate, dangerous operation. And now we are hearing that the head of the commando unit, this is the elite Pakistani Special Commando Unit, their commanding officer is on site. They're also talking of possibly carrying on into the night. It will be dark within the next 1 hour here in Pakistan. That, of course, could pose a serious problem. Also, the fact that weather in these areas can change rapidly. So everybody here will be praying that everything goes smoothly. But indeed, a dangerous operation indeed in trying to rescue these children who are stuck on that carriage.
Kamal, I want to bounce off a point that you just made. It's 6 p.m. right now in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, so the sun is going to set, and very soon they're going to have to be doing this in the dark. Is that possible? Has there been any communication on what can happen once there's no more light?
Well, that is going to be the biggest challenge because, like I said, helicopter operations are not allowed after dark in this mountainous region. This is a treacherous terrain. There are mountains on both sides. The cable car is dangling over a river and a forest down below. So that, of course, is going to add to the complications. However, there will be one last-minute attempt before dark. How that goes, because as I mentioned to you earlier, the rescue is being hampered by winds which pick up in that narrow valley, and also the fact that the weather can change. And of course, not to mention, as you mentioned yourself, once it's dark, it will be very challenging. They will need special lights, perhaps even night vision equipment in order to carry on this rescue effort.
Kamal Haider there reporting from Islamabad. If there are any major developments, do let us know. You'll keep us apprised. Thank you very much, Kamal. And so Kamal did mention the weather is also a factor here. So let's bring in weather presenter Jeff Harrington, who's joined us in the studio. What can you tell us about weather conditions at that precise location, Jeff?
Well, you know, winds are the big factor here, Cyril. So I was just checking gusts right now, 25 to 35 kilometers per hour. So a wind like that is enough to sway the cable car. Now, we know this is about 300 meters above the ground, right? So undoubtedly for those 8 people trapped inside that cable car, a little bit of a sway must be terrifying. So winds really the big factor here. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is the monsoon rains across Pakistan have actually backed off. Could you imagine these pictures that we're looking at right now if that was an intense rainstorm and rescue crews were up against that? So that is the one thing working on their side. That said, there is the risk of thunderstorms in this area tomorrow, and anytime there's thunderstorms, the winds can pick up without much notice. And when we talk about wind gusts, these are bursts of wind. It doesn't mean it's sustained right through, so every now and then you'll get a gust about 30 kilometers per hour. Again, enough to sway that cable car.
And is that something we're going to see, what, over the next few hours?
Yes.
That's going to persist? assist.
Absolutely. And Kamal also mentioned that this is a mountainous area, so conditions can really rapidly change. This is something that we have to keep an eye on. So the wind is the bad news right now, but the good news is at least the conditions are calm. There's no rain in the area at this moment.
Okay, that's all really valuable information at this point. Jeff Harrington, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.